my fellow comic book collectors, it's Allan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Wednesday video where I answer your questions. Uh, I'm actually kind of excited about this video because there's so many cool things I'm going to be showing. um, and let's get right into it. So if you want to ask me a question that I'll answer next week, just put it in the comments below and I will answer it. The first question comes from K. Munin, who asked, what was my opinion, or what is your opinion, on the whole CGC scam? Do you think it will cause damage to collectors' confidence in the market? How do we as comic collectors prevent problems such as this ruining the hobby? Sorry for the downer question this time. I learned a ton from this video, and thanks as always for answering my question. See you in the new year. That's what he wrote. Okay, so I didn't really want to comment on the CGC scam. And what I mean by that is that I wanted to wait for it. Wait for everything to happen. I actually enjoyed seeing both Swagelhaus and Ryan from Automatic Comics and their analysis of the scam itself and how it happened and how they were able to get around this issue with CGC's reholdering. So if you're not familiar, and if you haven't watched their videos, basically what was happening was it looked like somebody was buying, for example, Hulk 181. Now they'd buy 2 copies of it. They'd buy like a 9/8 a complete copy, and they'd buy a blue or like a high-grade blue copy, and they'd buy sort of not quite as high green label. Okay, and what they would do is they would crack both open, but with the blue label, what they would do is just crack it enough so that they could slide the book out and then put the green book inside of that blue labeled case, and then they would send it off to CGC and say, oh look, the case is cracked, can you reholder it? And CGC wouldn't verify that it was actually the same book, and what would end up happening is they would reholder a green label and make it a blue label book. And the value in doing that is huge. You can double your book value, and then what you do is you take the other book and then you send it to CGC and say, hey, I just want to get this graded, and then you get 2 books in that high grade for the price of 1. So that was a scam, and there was one vendor on eBay that was exploiting this flaw in the CGC system, and he was doing it professionally. So like, this is somebody that is an obvious scammer who is doing this at a high level, that you're like, if you buy those kind of books, you're spending thousands of dollars. So this is like, they're investing huge amounts of money to scam CGC. Not many people do that. But this guy was doing it professionally, and most scams are kind of more low level kind of scams. So when you have this kind of high-end attack, it's harder for CGC to detect. I mean, the only way that they could do it is almost that they would have to regrade every book that gets reholstered, which would add a lot to the cost of reholdering books. That is an issue. So the question is, what does CGC do, and how did CGC address this problem, and how should collectors respond to this? Well, if you like, in my day job, I'm a web marketing guy. I'm very good at SEO. I get sites ranked to the top of the search engines. I understand how to game the system of getting sites ranked at the top. And a lot of the sites that I work on are WordPress websites. I actually have a whole team that develop WordPress sites for my clients. And with that, WordPress being the most popular web design platform out there, what happens is people will try to hack it. And especially if you have a well-ranked site, they will try to hack you. And I've actually worked for clients where I help them on hack resolution and find out how they got hacked and how they can prevent such a hack from happening again in the future. And there's been some really cool hacks. And the reason people hack WordPress sites is it's the most popular platform. It is the most popular type of website out there. The bigger you are, the more likely it is that you're going to be hacked. I had one client that we had a whole bunch of things set up for them where they actually were probably on a daily basis being attempted to hack. They weren't actually successfully hacked about 10 times a day. So the bigger you are, the more attempts there will be by not so good people to take advantage of you. Well, this is what CGC is. It is a big target. It's the biggest in the industry for grading comics. And when you're that big, you'll get bad people, bad actors trying to hack your system. And that's what we saw with CGC. And they might not even be aware of it until somebody points it out. And that's the good thing about what Ryan and Swaggelhaus and all these other channels had done. They pointed it out. And CGC, being a good company, responded to that and said, hey, look, we are now aware of the situation. We are doing something about it. We are investigating this seller, and we know that hundreds of books have been affected. So they were transparent, first of all. That's a very good thing to do. Be very transparent to your client base. And then they went 2 steps further. 2 steps being, one, they said, if you think you have a book that has been impacted by this, or one of the ones that we saw that is not what it should be, we will compensate you. I mean, the fact that they're offering compensation, that is an extra bonus step that they are doing to show that they are a reputable company and that their label actually means something. So when I see that kind of thing, actually, it makes me think that this is a legitimate company and it wants to work with the comic community to produce the best results. Now, they went one more step. And the one extra step was they said, if you have seen something that's a little bit fraudulent, whatever, contact us and we will do something about it. So not only they gave a transparent response, they went above and beyond by saying, hey, we'll actually compensate people, but then they're actually seeking more advice in terms of the comic community and making sure that there isn't other fraudulent attacks or hacking attempts against them. And that's really the best that they can do. We as collectors have to understand that these companies, the bigger they are, the bigger the targeted they are, and we have to be kind of respectful of that. We can't just say, oh, well, they messed up here and they got hacked and we can never work with them again. That'd be very naive on our part to think that these companies aren't being attacked. We know as collectors, like I know so many collectors that are hypocrites if they didn't say that even on a small level that they didn't try hacking CGC, either by resubmitting books or by marrying comics where they try to sneak in, it looks like it's a legitimate comic, where it's 2 comics merged together and they try to get that blue label, even though it's obviously a merged, married comic. So these are things that I know lots of people do these things, and they try to sneak it by CGC and to get the blue labels. So it'd be very hypocritical for collectors to disparage CGC, because when you're that big, you're going to be a target. And that's kind of my opinion. So my opinion on this is really that collectors should be respectful of CGC and appreciative of CGC for their transparency and their efforts to fix this problem. And it just actually adds more credibility to CGC, in my opinion. That's, whether it won't ruin the hobby. It's just something collectors should be aware of. And we shouldn't be hypocritical, as I said, that we aren't aware of this. This is like something that will happen. But they are doing their best to resolve it. And that's all that can be done. Okay, I feel like I've said enough on that. Next question comes from Black Box Silver and Bronze, who asked, question for next week. Allan, on your Sunday Hottest Golden Age show, you mentioned that rare Golden Age comics have been coming to the market, which you might not see for sale in a decade. You said that you personally taken advantage of this buyer's market and obtained comics that you thought you would never have a chance to buy. Can you show these comic books you're talking about? Thanks. Actually, I'm going to show you a smidgen, some of them that I have. There's actually a bunch more, and if you watch my current unboxing, at the very end, the last few episodes, there's a bunch in there that I'm not going to reveal yet. So there's a bunch in there, but I'm going to show you a few that I actually never expected to be able to find, and these are books that you just don't see that often. First one was one that actually Alex the Comic Hoarder picked up. And I was so jealous because I know how hard it is to find this book. And he picked it up. I forgot where he picked it up. He picked it up cheap. And he I think it was like a antique store or something like that. And it's just a rare book. Don't see it very often. But I was determined that I would find it as well. And I did. And I was actually, again, this was a book that kind of appeared this year. As I said, books are kind of appearing that normally you don't see, and this is one of them. This is Popeye cartoon book. This is not the first appearance of Popeye. I actually originally thought it was. It's usually listed as the very first appearance of Popeye, but I have found earlier appearances of Popeye. So, but this is a cool book, and you got Popeye on the cover there, fighting. So, just a really cool book. Early Popeye from 1934. Yeah, I thought it was 34. It's actually January 1st, 1934. So barely 1934. So, Popeye cartoon book. That's one of them. Another one that I really never thought I'd actually even own in my collection because it's always crazy priced. Though it's one that you can get. I can't say that's not one you would see for a decade, but it's really rare. It's hard to find, and it's hard to find at a reasonable price. Well, that was this book, Startling 49, and this is the Bender or the Bender Futurama cover. So yeah, just a classic Alex Schomburg book. I never thought I would own this in my collection. I was so excited when I got this one, and it just appeared. It was just, actually, I found it by accident. I was searching something totally different, and for some reason this book was mentioned in the listings, and I basically bought it the day that it was listed. I was so excited to get it, and I got it for a great deal. So Startling 49. And then I've been seeing a lot of Matt Baker appear. And I think part of the reason for the massive amount of Matt Baker stuff appearing is when the prices for artists kind of go up and people get excited about certain artists, you'll find that people will be like, okay, I think I have some of those in my collection. Or even if they're collectors of Matt Baker, they might say, well, the prices are going up so much that I might as well sell these books that I got at a cheaper price much earlier. So I think sometimes, like, when prices are going up, it really draws out a lot of the comics. And that's what's been happening with Matt Baker this year. I found, well, last year. This is 2024 now. But last year I really saw that a lot, where certain things were hot, and as a result, you'd get like ones that you don't normally see so much of coming out into the market. And one of the ones that I got, and I'm going to show actually 3 Matt Bakers, is this one, Diary Secrets, number 16. And it's just a classic Matt Baker cover. Actually, this was an interior panel done by Matt Baker that they decided to make into a full cover, just because it's so great. Just a classic girl in the red dress, you know, kind of a couple, you know, sort of hanging out. And just really great cover. So this is Diary Secrets number 16. And I just didn't expect that one to appear. Along with, these ones are quite hard to find, and you rarely see them. This is 7 Seas, number 5. It's just a classic Matt Baker. The 7 Seas series of comics definitely have some of the best Matt Baker art in them. This is not the biggest one. I think number 4 and 6, those are generally the 2 most popular. But this one is definitely still nice. So this is 7 Seas Comics number 5. And I actually won both of these 2 7 Seas ones in the same auction, which to me is like shocking. It was actually my comic shop that had them. So this is 7 Seas Comics number 3, I believe. Yeah. And just another classic Matt Baker cover. Kind of a funny one. How her legs are all extended like that. I always thought that was a little weird positioning. But I noticed that there was a few other Matt Baker covers where I saw that he'll have the girl in this kind of weird position. So if you look at some of his Sky Girl art, he draws the girls in this weird leg position where the legs are just totally out straight, which is very strange, and they're almost flying through the air. So this is 7 Seas Comics number 3. Another one didn't expect to see, but you know, pretty cool. Another thing that I found last year was really about people going for the mega grails, where there was a bunch of collectors that I know that were selling off pretty major books, like like what I would consider a grail, to buy bigger grails. And as a result, certain books that you normally don't see were coming to market. And like I feel like, you know, I'm picking up their leftovers, but I don't mind. These are great leftovers because these are big books that were coming up. And this is an example of that. This is my Detective 38. To me, this is a mega grail, but I know that the guy that sold this to me, he was actually going for even bigger Batman key. And so he sold this one. So yeah, so this is Detective 38, first appearance of Robin. I love this book. I'm so excited to get this one. And just don't see it that often. Actually, the funny thing was, after I agreed on the price, there was one that came to auction, the same book, and Ryan from Automatic Comics picked it up. And I was like, oh man, that's so weird. And he picked up a slightly higher grade for about a little bit more than what I paid. So it was kind of debatable if I got this for a good price or not. But yeah, I was still quite happy with this one. So this is Detective Comics number 38. Okay, next one that I really didn't expect to get, and this was a huge book because I think there's only like 2 or 3 copies in existence. And I actually saw it sell, and then I was like, oh man, I'm never going to get it because it's sold, and I missed out. And it went for crazy price. It went for like $4,000 or $5,000. And I was like, oh, I'll never get it. It's like, so, you know, once in a lifetime thing. It came up again. So the same book, actually. I think they wanted to flip it and try to get even more money for it. And this is Triumph Adventure Comics number 1. It's a coverless copy. Even in a coverless copy, this, as I said, it sold for about $4,000 or $5,000. And even though it's coverless, I picked it up again. I got it for $2. I was quite excited about that. And this is the first appearance of a Canadian classic character, Navalna of the Northern Lights. And she is kind of like one of Canada's first superheroes. And she's actually a character that appeared before Wonder Woman and has superpowers and everything. So kind of a cool early female superhero appearance as well. And, just a classic Canadian book. This is a Canadian white, probably the Canadian white. If you're going to say, oh, what's the biggest Canadian white? Well, this would be it. This is like museum level of books. And you just don't see this. Maybe you'll see this once in a lifetime. Well, this is my one chance to have gotten it, and I got it. So I was super excited about that. So those were the books. Some of them, there's more that I got that I didn't really think I would ever see. If you watch the current unboxing, and actually the unboxing that's happening next set of unboxings, there's some really major books that I was shocked when I found. So stay tuned for those. Okay, the next question comes from user JP's and then some crazy numbers. But he asked, I have a Star Wars #1 B Whitman 35-cent price variant. Reprint. It does not say reprint on the cover, but inside. What is the actual value of this comic? I have seen it anywhere from $2,050 to $400 on different sites. Thank you, Grant. Okay, so the book he is talking about is this one. Is this exact one. So this is the Whitman 35-cent variant, and it's a reprint. Now, how can you tell? Well, one easy way is this little diamond up here. That means that it's a Whitman, okay? If it has this kind of diamond price in the top. Now, there's 2 variants for this. There's the one where it doesn't, like my copy, doesn't say reprint. There's another copy that will say reprint down this side here, okay? And so this is the 35-cent Whitman price variant reprint. Now this, in a 9.8, will sell for about $1,000. In a 9.0, it'll sell for about, I just want to make sure. No, sorry, in a 9.6, this will sell for about $750. And in a 9.0, it'll sell for about $200. And for a 5.0, it'll sell for about $120. So this is, now there's another version which has the reprint down the side here, and it will sell for, a 9.8 will sell for $1,000, 9.0 will sell for $150, 5.0 will sell for about $100, and a 1.8 will sell for $10. Okay, so those are all the Whitman reprint variants. Now there's also the standard edition. You're probably wondering how much that goes for. Well, here's the standard edition. This is a 9.0 of the first print. And in a 9.8, this has been going up lately. It just sold for $3,700 in a 9.8. In a 9.0, it sells for about $425. In a 5.0, it goes for about $230. In a 1.0, it goes for about $30. So grade really makes a difference. So that's the big thing to realize. Now there are other variants. There's a 30-cent variant reprint where it is just a reprint where it's a 30-cent variant. So it'll look like this, might have the reprint down the side. And there's no recent 9.8 sale of the reprint, but a 9.0 of the reprint, the first reprint, will sell for about $150. A 5.0 will sell for about $40, and a 1.8 will sell for about $20. Now there's also another variant where there's no pricing and there's nothing in here, and nothing here. Okay, and that is the no price reprint variant, and there hasn't really been that many sales of it, but a 9.2 of that variant sold for $100. And there's still one more major reprint, not reprint, but variant for Star Wars #1, and that is the first print, but 35-cent price variant. And what happened was Marvel, what they would do is they would test out the price change in smaller markets, and they would just put the 35-cent price variants in those small markets just to test if people would buy less comics with that additional price. So those books are extremely rare, and a first printing of those 35-cent price variants, like a 9.4, sold for $50,000. So just a massive sale for a 9.4. A 9.0 would probably sell in a couple $100,000 range. It just, 9.8, I mean. A 9.0 had a sale recently of $21,600, and a 5.0 in the 35-cent variant sold for $4,377, and a 1.5 goes for about $1,000. So just massive value if you have the 35 cents. So if you have a first printing of Star Wars #1, look for that 35-cent price variant because it is big money. Okay. Next question. Comes from Paul Shore. Why is your FF1 restored? It looks great for a 5.0. So my Fantastic Four #1 is extensively restored. It has been, they did a lot to it. I think the cover is cleaned. It has some color touch. It is extensive restoration. I think the edges are trimmed. It's got a lot done to it. Pieces added, cover reinforced. It's got everything done to it, but it looks great. I even though it is extensive, I appreciate it for what it is. I love that book. So it is extensive restoration though. And last question comes from Prentice Hammond. Does anyone know why the UPC was on the front cover, ruining the cover art instead of on the back? Okay, so if you notice, like a lot of what he's referring to is this right here. This UPC, like usually it's like a barcode, or here, actually on my Star Wars one, I can show it a bit better. So you get the barcode on the front. Why is it on the front? If you look at most books, they put it on the back. But on comic books, a lot of the time they put it on the front. And you're probably wondering, why is that? Well, there is a reason. Actually, I actually found out there is a reason for it. One of the biggest distributors of comics is Diamond. And they are the ones that distribute pretty much most of the comics. And they actually have it as a policy, like where they tell retailer or comic creation companies to actually put it on the front. And their reason is that due to the variety of shelving and display habits of the retailers, they make this recommendation. So that was a direct quote from them, like, due to the variety of shelving and display habits by retailers. And the reason for that is if you have those books on the front with the barcode on the front, it shows the barcode. They want the barcode to show so that people know that it is something that can be scanned. I have no idea why that really helps, but it does help in terms of if you have a bag with a board in it, it's actually quite hard to scan it if the barcode is on the back. If it's in the front, you can just scan, right? So that's, I think, the logic behind it. But it's basically because Diamond said so. That's the reason for the barcodes on the front. So those are the questions from this week. If you have a question you would like me to answer for next week, put it in the comments below and I will do my best to answer it. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye for now.